Hello students, today we are going to study about our new chapter Fundamental Unit of Life. This chapter is included in our biology syllabus. So our first point is cell. So cell is called as fundamental unit of life. See the first point here, the structural and functional unit of living organisms is called as cell. So this is the definition of cell in which cell is called as structural and functional unit of living organisms. This is because cells gives a particular structure to the living organisms. That's why it is called a structural unit. And cells perform different functions in the living organism. That's why it's called as functional unit. See the second point, cellular organization is the primary characteristic of all living organisms. So for all living organisms, cellular organization required. The third point is levels of cellular organizations are cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, and organism. It means that the group of cells forms tissues, the group of tissues forms organs, the group of organs forms organ systems, and various organ systems come together to form an organism. See the fourth point, living organisms carry out all life processes with the help of cells. Okay, so all living organisms perform the different functions with the help of cells only. Okay, so our next point is history of cell science. In case of history of cell science, the first point is Robert Hooke in 1665 discovered the cell. Clear? So this is the very important point. In 1665, Robert Hooke discovered the cell. The second point here is he observed the slice of cork under primitive microscope. Okay, at the time of Robert Hooke, okay, there were primitive microscopes were there, and he observed the slice of cork under primitive microscope. The third point here is he's seen honeycomb-like structure of cork consisting of many small compartments. So under primitive microscope, Robert Hooke observed the honeycomb-like structure of the cork and which consists of many small compartments. Okay, so the fourth point here is Robert Hooke termed these small compartments as cell. Okay, so the fifth point here is the term cell is derived from Latin word cella, which means small room. Actually, see the term cell derived from Latin word cella, which means small room or small compartment. The sixth point here is cork is the substance obtained from bark of trees. Okay, so Robert Hooke took the cork, slice of cork, and that slice of cork was obtained from the bark of trees. Okay, under the primitive microscope, he observed the honeycomb-like structures having small compartments. In Latin word, the small compartments are called as cella, and which as termed as cells. The seventh point here is Anton von Leeuwenhoek in 1674 discovered the free living cells in pond water. Okay, in 1674, Anton von Leeuwenhoek discovered the first living cell in the pond water. The eighth point here is in 1831, Robert Brown discovered the nucleus present in the cell. So this is very important point here. In 1831, Robert Brown discovered the nucleus. In 1839, Purkinje coined the term protoplasm, okay, for food substance present in the cell. Actually, the fluid present in the cell called as protoplasm, and this protoplasm was discovered by the Purkinje in 1839. After that, our 10th point is M.J. Sheldon and Theodore Swan in 1838 gave the theory about the cellular structure and stated that actually this theory is called as cell theory, and this cell theory was discovered by the or stated by the M.J. Sheldon and Theodore Swan. So the statement for the cell theory was all the plants and animals are composed of cells, and the cell is the fundamental or basic unit of life. Okay, so this is the statement for cell theory. The 11th point is Rudolf Virchow in 1855 stated that actually in 1855 Rudolf Virchow stated the advanced cell theory, and the statement for advanced cell theory was all cells arise from pre-existing cells. In the next slide, our next point is measurement and observations of cells. In that, the first point is in 1673, Anton von Leeuwenhoek constructed first microscope. See, in 1673, Anton von Leeuwenhoek constructed the first microscope, and in 1674, Anton von Leeuwenhoek found out the first living cell found in the pond water. Okay. After that, second point here is cell can be seen only with the help of compound microscope. Okay, so all the cells can be seen with the help of compound microscope only. Okay. So the third point here is the unit used for measuring the size of cell is micrometer and nanometer. Actually, the size of cell is measured with the help of micrometer and nanometer unit. Okay. So 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeter, 1 millimeter is equal to 1000 micrometer, and 1 micrometer is equal to 1000 nanometer. Okay. So these are the relations between the centimeter, micrometer, and nanometer. Our next point is shapes of cells. In case of shapes of cells, the first point is the shapes of cells are related to their functions. Okay, here this is very important point. All the shapes of cells depends on its functions or whatever the functions that they carry. The second point here is the different shapes of cells are circular, the circular shape of cell found in ovum, rod shaped found in bacteria, columnar, spiral, oval, oval shape found in fat cell, rectangular, biconcave shape found in RBCs of blood, linear, okay, linear shape found in nerve cell, spindle shape found in muscle cells. These are the various shapes of cells. Actually, the shapes of cells depends on functions that they carry. The third point here is the size and shape of cells are related to the specific functions that they perform. Okay, already we covered this point. The fourth point here is some cells like amoeba have changing shape. Actually, see, in case of amoeba, it is an unicellular organism. Okay, with the help of pseudopodia, it can changes its size as well as shape. The fifth point here is the nerve cell has fixed and particular shape. So nerve cell are linear, that's why it has particular shape and size. In the next slide, our next point is types of cells. So there are two types of cells, plant cell and animal cell. So here there is a table about the difference between the animal cell and plant cell. So we can see the different components in the first column. In the second column we can see the animal cell, and in the third column we can see the plant cell. See the first component, cell membrane. Cell membrane present means cell membrane present in both animal as well as plant cell. Okay. The second component is cell wall. Cell wall is absent in animal cell and it is present in plant cell. Okay. The third one, lysosomes. Lysosomes are present in animal cell and absent in plant cells. So next component is plastid. Plastids are absent in animal cell and present in plant cells. Okay. So next component is endoplasmic reticulum, which is present in both animal as well as plant cell. After that, vacuole. Vacuole is present means a small sized vacuole is present in animal cell and large sized vacuole is present in plant cell. After that, Golgi complex. Golgi complex are present in both animal as well as plant cell, and mitochondria are also present in both animal as well as plant cell. So in the next slide, our next point is parts of cells. There are four different parts of cells. The first one, cell wall. Second, cell membrane. Third one, cytoplasm. And fourth one, cell organelles. Okay, we can see capital A, B, C, D. Okay, all they are the various parts of cells. Plasma membrane, cell wall, cytoplasm, cell organelles. So see the first point in case of cell organelles. The different components of cell having specific functions are called as cell organelles. Actually, see, in case of cell, there are different organelles present, okay, which carry different functions in the particular cell, hence called as cell organelles. Okay. The second point here is cell organelles are studied under electron microscope. Actually, there are two types of microscope. The first one is the compound microscope and second one is the electron microscope. We can see the cell, simple cell, with the help of compound microscope. When we see the different actually particles or different components present inside the cell which are very microscopic. Then at that time electron microscopy is used. So cell organelles are seen with the help of electron microscope only, and cells are seen with the help of compound microscope only. Okay. After that, the third point is the different cell organelles are in the cell. The different cell organelles are nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, lysosomes, mitochondria, vacuoles, and plastids. These are the various cell organelles found in the cell. The fourth point here is cell organelles are dispersed in cytoplasm. Okay, so the jelly-like fluid present inside the cell called as cytoplasm, and in the cytoplasm all the cell organelles are dispersed or present or found in the cytoplasm only. Okay, so our next point is we'll discuss all the different parts of cells in detail. See the first part of the cell, that is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is also called as cell membrane. Okay, in that the first point is it is flexible and outermost covering of cell. Okay, plasma membrane is flexible and outer covering of cell. See, second point is it separates the cell component from outer environment. Okay, because of cell membrane, because of plasma membrane, the cell components are separated from outer environment. The third point here is the flexibility of cell membrane enables the cell to engulf in food and other material from its external environment. This process is called as endocytosis. See, this is the definition of endocytosis, in which the flexibility of cell membrane enables the cell to engulf in food and other materials from the external environment. Actually, this endocytosis process we can see in amoeba. Because of plasma membrane or cell membrane, the particular food material get engulfed into the body of amoeba. That's why endocytosis process seen in the amoeba only. Okay. The fourth point here is amoeba acquire its food through the endocytosis process. Means with the help of plasma membrane or cell membrane, the amoeba engulf its food present in the surrounding area. Okay. So our next point is structure of plasma membrane. So in the structure of plasma membrane, our first point is it is made up of organic molecules called as lipids and proteins. Okay, so plasma membrane is made up of organic proteins, organic molecules called as these lipids and proteins. Okay, so the second point here is protein molecules are embedded in the two layers of phospholipids. This is very important point here. These protein molecules are embedded in the two layers of phospholipids. Okay. In the third point, it allows some substances to enter the cell while prevent other substances. The plasma membrane allow some of the substances to enter into the cell and prevent the other substances. Means cells, whatever the materials which are necessary for the cells are entered into the cell, and those substances which are not necessary to the cell get prevented to enter into the cell with the help of plasma membrane or cell membrane. Our next point is hence plasma membrane is also called a selectively permeable membrane. Okay, this is very important point here. Plasma membrane is also called a selectively permeable membrane. Why? Because this plasma membrane only enters the useful substances and prevent to enter the harmful substances in the cell. The fifth point here is some substances like carbon dioxide and oxygen can move across the cell membrane by the process of diffusion. Okay? The substances like carbon dioxide and oxygen. Actually, carbon dioxide is the waste material for the cell, every cell, and this carbon dioxide get removed outside the cell, and the oxygen is required for the cell. That's why it is get entered into the cell. So both these processes, means removal of carbon dioxide and entry of oxygen, performed with the help of diffusion process. Okay, so we will see what is meant by diffusion process in next slide. So our next point here is due to this the useful substances like water, salt and oxygen enter the cell. Okay, because of diffusion process the useful substances like water, salt and oxygen get entered into the cell. So this is the diagram of the plasma membrane. Okay, we can see the first diagram of plasma membrane. In that we can see the phospholipid, means bilipid layer is present. Okay, phospholipids are present in two layers, that is phospholipid bilayer, and within the phospholipid layer protein molecules are present. Okay, we can see the different labelings here. Phospholipids means that head and tail of the phospholipids are present in two layers, And there is channel protein, means it is the protein found in between the phospholipids. Okay, carrier protein found in between the phospholipid, as well as glycoprotein found in between the phospholipids. Okay, so this is the structure or diagram of the plasma membrane. And in the next diagram we can see the osmosis and diffusion process. Okay, in the osmosis we can see the movement of water molecule from high concentration to low concentration through semi permeable membrane. We are going to discuss about the osmosis and diffusion process in the next slide. Okay, only the diagrams are given here. Okay, we will discuss this diagram later on after completing the diffusion and osmosis process. Okay, so in the next slide we will start about the processes occurs across the plasma membrane. Okay, across the plasma membrane there are a number of processes occurs. In that, the first important two are diffusion, and second one is the osmosis. So see the diffusion type of this process. In that, the definition is, see the first point, the movement of molecules from region of high concentration to region of low concentration is called as diffusion. Okay, the movement of molecules from region of high concentration to region of low concentration is called as diffusion. So this is the simple definition of diffusion. Second point here is, the substances like carbon dioxide accumulates in high concentration inside the cell as a waste material. As already we told that carbon dioxide is a waste material to the cell. That's why carbon dioxide concentration is much more inside the cell. Okay, see the third point, as soon as there is difference between concentration of carbon dioxide inside and outside the cell, the carbon dioxide moves out of the cell from the region of high concentration to region of low concentration. See, as the concentration of carbon dioxide inside the cell is more, that's why there is a difference in the concentration of the carbon dioxide seen. Okay, means inside the cell higher concentration of carbon dioxide, and outside the cell less concentration of carbon dioxide. That's why, because of diffusion process, the molecules of carbon dioxide get moved from inside to outside. Okay, so that's why it is called as diffusion process. Okay, see the fourth point, this movement of carbon dioxide occurs by the diffusion process. Okay, we already covered this point. So after that, actually see, this is very important definition, or this is very important process occurring in the this cells, every cells, that is diffusion process. The movement of molecules from high concentration to region of high concentration to region of low concentration is called as diffusion. Okay, this is very important point. And after that, our next process is osmosis process. See, the first point in osmosis is the movement of water molecule from region of high concentration to region of low concentration through semi-permeable membrane is called as osmosis. Okay, actually when we compare the definitions of diffusion and osmosis, then in case of diffusion, the movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration is called as diffusion, and in case of osmosis, the movement of water molecule from region of high concentration to region of low concentration through semi-permeable membrane is called as osmosis. Okay, when we see the diagram of diffusion and osmosis, then we will understand about the process. So here the diagram that is given on left side, it is osmosis and diffusion. In that, the first diagram indicates osmosis. Here the water molecules move from high concentration to low concentration through semi permeable membrane. That's why it is called as osmosis process. And we can see the diffusion process here. The movement of air molecules from high concentration to low concentration is called as diffusion process. There is no semi permeable membrane in case of diffusion process, and this is the difference between the osmosis and this diffusion. Means in case of osmosis process, semi-permeable membrane is present, and in case of diffusion process there is no semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane means it is the porous membrane that is found in between the two separate areas, means which show difference in the concentration. In the next slide, the second point is, there are three possibilities of osmosis. Okay, we have continued the osmosis point. In that, the second point is, there are three possibilities of osmosis. Actually, the there are the three different possibilities of osmosis are. Okay, the first possibility is hypotonic solution. The second one is the isotonic solution, and third one is the hypertonic solution. Okay, so we will see the diagram here. Actually, we will see the definition here first, and after that, whatever the diagram found in the that slide. Okay, means few slides before we see that diagram about the hypertonic, hypotonic and isotonic solution. We will see the diagram after completing this definitions. Okay, see, the hypotonic solution means in hypotonic solution the concentration of solute is greater inside the cell than outside of it. Okay, see, the concentration of solute actually in case of substances there are three types of substances. Okay, solute, solvent and solution. Okay, in case of substances there are three types of substances. The first one is the solute, second one is the solvent and third one is the solution. Solute means those substances that dissolves in solvent. Okay, solvent means the substance in which solute dissolves is called a solvent, and solution means when solute dissolves in solvents then solution is formed. These are the three types of substances. Here the first point in case of hypotonic solution is, in hypotonic solution the concentration of solute is greater inside the cell. Actually concentration of solute means the substances that dissolves in solvent. Okay, so the concentration of solute is higher in case of inside the cell than outside. The second point here is, in other word, the concentration of water is greater outside the cell than inside. It means that, okay, see, actually water is the solvent here. Okay, so when we see the vice versa case, in case of vice versa case, the if the solute particles are present in more quantity inside the cell, then solvent is present in much quantity outside the cell. Okay, so here the solvent, that is water, is found in a large quantity or in much concentration in outside medium. Okay, outside the cell. The third point here is, due to this the water moves from outside to inside the cell and cell will swell. Okay, because of higher concentration of water outside the cell, what happens, the movement of water starts from outside to inside. That's why cell becomes swell. Okay, or there is swelling of the cell occur. So here the cell membrane or plasma membrane of cell acts as semi-permeable membrane. Because of presence of large quantity of water outside the cell, the water start to move from outside to inside. That's why cells start to swell. So this process is called as endosmosis. Okay, this process is called as endosmosis. Endosmosis means because of osmosis process, this movement of water occurs from outside to inside the cell. That's why it is called as endosmosis. After that, the fourth point here is, example of hypotonic solution is, if resins are kept in water, then after some time they swell and become turgid. Okay, so this is the example of the hypotonic solution in which when resins are kept in the water, then water is nothing but solvent, okay, which is found in more quantity outside the resin. Resin is nothing but the plant cell. Okay, resin, suppose resin is the plant cell, and if water is found in large quantity in outside medium, then water start to move, okay, from outside medium to inside the cell, means inside the resin. The wall of the resin acts as semi permeable membrane. That's why this movement of water occurs from outside medium to inside medium. That's why the resin start to swell and it become turgid. So after that, the second possibility of osmosis is isotonic solution. So in case of isotonic solution, the first point is, if the medium outside and inside the cell has same concentration or proportion of water, then the solution is called as isotonic solution. Okay, see, if the uh, concentration of solvent inside and outside the cell remains same, then in that case the solution is called as isotonic solution. The second point here is, in isotonic solution water doesn't enter in or outside the cell. Okay, in case of isotonic solution there is no movement of water occurs inside the cell as well as outside the cell. So the third type of solution is hypertonic solution. In that, the first point is, in hypertonic solution, the concentration of solute is greater outside the cell than inside the cell. Okay. Actually, see, in case of hypertonic solution, the concentration of solute is much larger in the outside medium than the inside. That's why, in vice versa case, we can say that in the next slide we can say that, in other words, the concentration of water or solvent is greater inside the cell than outside of it. Okay, so here we can say the concentration of water is much uh, higher inside the cell than outside. So the fourth point here is, due to this the water moves from inside to outside the cell and cell will shrink. This process is called as exosmosis. See, when the concentration of water is much larger inside the cell than outside, then there is a movement of water occur from inside the cell to outside. That's why due to this what happens, the cell will shrink and this process is called as exosmosis. Clear? The fifth point here is, example, if fruit pieces are kept in thick saturated sugar solution, then fruit pieces shrink after some time. Okay, as we see in case of murumba, or in case of that whatever the pickles. Okay, when we in case of pickle, we place the pieces of fruits or mango in the salt solution or sugar solution. So due to this what happens, the concentration of water inside the fruit pieces is much more than the outside, because outside medium consists of much uh, means higher concentration of the solid particles, that is sugar or salt. So it means that there is movement of water occur from this from fruit pieces into the sugar solution. That's why this shrinkage after a certain time, this shrinkage of the fruit pieces occurs. The sixth point here is, if plant cell or animal cell is kept in hypertonic solution, then water moves out of the cell and there is contraction of cell occurs, and this process is called as plasmolysis. Okay, so this is very important point here. Plasmolysis definition is given here. So when plant cell or animal cell is kept in hypertonic solution, then the water moves out of the cell and there is contraction of the cytoplasm occur. Okay, this process is called as plasmolysis. So if we see the diagram of the hypotonic and isotonic solution, here we can see the diagram of the hypotonic, isotonic and hypertonic solution. In the first case we see the animal cell, and in the second case we see the plant cell. In the animal cell, okay, see the hypotonic solution, there is swelling of the that red colored RBCs occurs, okay, and that's why there is lysis of the, because of swelling, lysis of the RBCs may occur. In the second case, okay, there is no swelling or there is no contraction of the RBCs seen, okay, biconcave shape of the RBCs seen in the isotonic solution. And in case of third, that is hypertonic solution, the RBCs get contracted because of exosmosis, okay. There is shrinkage of the RBCs occur in case of hypertonic solution. Same way, in case of plant cell, as we see the hypertonic solution, then there is swelling of the plant cell occurs, and that's why the cell become turgid. In the second isotonic solution, the cell become flaccid. Okay, flaccid means it remains normal. There is no movement of the water molecule occur in case of isotonic solution. In case of hypertonic solution, shrinkage of the plant cell occurs. That's why plasmolysis can be seen in case of a hypertonic solution. Okay, so our next point is examples of osmosis. In case of examples of osmosis, we see the first point is deshelled eggs. Deshelled eggs means when we remove the shell of the egg, then it is called as deshelled eggs. Okay, so deshelled egg when placed in plain water or in concentrated salt solution, then the osmosis process occurs. Okay, when we place the deshelled egg in the plain water or in concentrated salt solution, then osmosis occurs. When here we can conclude that when deshelled egg placed in water, then there is swelling of egg occurs, and when deshelled egg placed in this concentrated solution, or it is called as sugar solution, then there is shrinkage of the egg cell occurs. Okay. The second example is when resin or apricot are placed in plain water or concentrated sugar solution, then osmosis process occurs. Okay, here this example is similar to egg cell. Okay. The third example is unicellular organism and most plant cell absorb the water by osmosis process. In case of unicellular organisms like amoeba, paramecium, euglena, and in case of plant cells, okay, the absorption of water done with the help of osmosis process. The fourth point here is different molecules move in and out of the cell through the through a type of transport which requires energy in the form of ATP. Okay? Actually, in the body of plants as well as animals, there is movement of molecules occurs with the help of or there is ATP is required as an energy source. That's why such type of processes requires energy. Okay. So after plasma membrane or cell membrane, our second part in case of cell is cell wall. Okay. See, the first point in case of cell wall is it is found around the cell of algae, fungi, and plants. Okay. The cell wall is found in the cells of algae, fungi, and plants. The second point here is the cell wall is absent in animal cell. Already we covered this point. The cell wall is absent in animal cell. The third point is it is elastic and strong coat around the cell membrane. Okay, this cell wall is the elastic as well as strong coat around the cell membrane. The fourth point here is the plant cell wall is mainly composed of cellulose. Okay, here this is very important point. Actually, the plant cell wall is mainly composed of cellulose. Cellulose is the main component of the cell wall. Okay, the fifth point here is cellulose is the complex sugar or substance and provide structural strength to the plants. Okay, so because of cellulose, the structural strength to the plants given. The sixth point here is when a living cell loses water through the osmosis process, then there is a shrinkage or contraction of the cell content occurs. Okay, this is called as plasmolysis. So we already covered this plasmolysis type of definition, in which when the living cell loses water through the osmosis process, then there is contraction or shrinkage of the cell occurs called as plasmolysis. The seventh point here is cell wall permit the cells of plants, fungi, and bacteria to withstand in very dilute or hypotonic solution without bursting. Okay, so because of cell wall, what happens in case of bacteria, fungi, as well as algae and plants also, there is no bursting of cell occurs because of cell wall, because this cell gives structural strength to the particular cell. Okay, so our next point is functions of cell wall. In that, the first function is to support and protect the cell, and the second function is to prevent the entry of excess water in the cell. So they are the two functions of cell wall. Our next part of cell is cytoplasm. So in case of cytoplasm, the first point is cytoplasm is the jelly-like fluid present between plasma membrane and nucleus. ठीक है? So cytoplasm is the jelly-like fluid present between the plasma membrane and nucleus of the cell. The second point here is cytoplasm takes up very little stain when stained. Okay, when we stain the cell, then cytoplasm is very little means there is staining of cytoplasm occurring very less amount. The third point here is cell organelles are dispersed in cytoplasm. Okay, so cell organelles are dispersed in cytoplasm. Okay, already we covered this point. The fourth point here is in prokaryotes, membrane bound cell organelles are absent. Okay, in prokaryotes, membrane bound cell organelles are absent. The fifth point here is in eukaryotes, nuclear membrane and membrane enclosed organelles are present. Okay, so this is the differentiating point between the prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In case of prokaryotes, the membrane bound cell organelles are absent, and in case of eukaryotes, the nuclear membrane as well as membrane enclosed cell organelles are present. Okay, so sixth point here is viruses lack any membranes and hence do not show characteristics of life until they enter a living body and use its cellular machinery to multiply. Actually, see, in case of viruses, there is no membranes found. That's why the viruses are completely means inactive outside the body of the living organisms. When the viruses entered in the living organism's body, then and then only they are active and they act as living thing. Okay, so after cytoplasm, our next point is cell organelles. The next part of cell is cell organelles. So we have discussed various point about the cell organelles in previous slides. So here the first cell organelle is nucleus. So in case of nucleus, the first point is the dark round spot seen under the microscope while observing the onion peeling stained with the iodine is the nucleus of the cell. Okay, when we observe the cell under microscope, then there is a dark spot seen. Okay, that dark spot is called as nucleus. Okay, the second point here is the nucleus has a double layered covering called as nuclear membrane. Actually, nucleus is covered by the nuclear membrane. Okay, that nuclear membrane is a double layered covering. The third point here is the nuclear membrane has pores which allow the transfer of materials from inside the nucleus to outside into the cytoplasm. Actually, the nuclear membrane is porous in nature. That's why this movement of substances occurs inside to outside or from outside to inside the nucleus. The next slide, our fourth point is the nucleus contains chromosomes which are rod-shaped structures only seen during cell division process. Okay, so the nucleus consists of chromosomes which are rod-shaped structures. Okay, see, it is very important point here. The chromosomes are nothing but genetic material found in the cell. So at the time of cell division, the rod-shaped chromosomes are seen under electron microscope. The fifth point here is chromosomes contain information for inheritance from parents to next generation in the form of DNA molecules. Okay. So the chromosome contains genetic information which carry which help in the inheritance of genetic characters from parents to next generation in the form of DNA molecule. Okay. So the sixth point is chromosomes are composed of DNA and protein. Actually, the chromosomes are made from DNA and protein. Actually, DNA is the single strand. Actually, DNA is the thread-like structure which has two strands. And when this coiling of DNA occurs along with the protein, then there is formation of chromosomes occurs in the nucleus. The seventh point here is DNA molecule contain information necessary for construction of cells. Actually, DNA molecule contains the information for the construction of cells. The eighth point here is functional segment of DNA are called as genes. Okay, the functional segment of DNA is called as genes. Okay, actually, because of genes, the particular structures and functions are performed by the cell, and that structures are indicated or coded in the form of genes only in the chromosome or DNA. Okay. Ninth point is in non-living cell or in non-dividing cell, this DNA is present as a part of chromatin material. Okay. In non-dividing cell, the DNA is present in the form of chromatin fibers or chromatin material. Okay. So the 10th point here is chromatin material is visible as thread-like structure. Okay. So in non-dividing cells, the chromatin material is found in the form of thread-like structures. The 11th point is during cell division, the chromatin material get organized into chromosomes. Okay, at the time of cell division only the chromatin material get organized into chromosomes. Okay, so after that, our next point is functions of nucleus. In that, the first function is it controls all metabolic activities of the cells and the cell division. Okay, see this is the first function of the cell in which cell help in the controlling the all metabolic activities of the cell as well as help in the cell division process. The second function of nucleus is it is involved in the transmission of hereditary characters from parents to offspring. Okay, we already covered this point. So our next point is nucleoid. Okay. So in case of nucleoid, the first point is in some organisms like bacteria, the nuclear region is poorly developed due to the absence of nuclear membrane. Okay. So in some of the organisms, due to absence of nuclear membrane, the nuclear region is poorly developed. Okay. So the second point here is the such undeveloped nuclear region contains only nucleic acid, hence it is called as nucleoid. Okay. Actually, this undeveloped nuclear region contains only nucleic acid, that is DNA or chromosomes or chromatin fibers. Hence, such undeveloped nucleus is called as nucleoid. Okay. So our next point is prokaryotes and eukaryotes, or prokaryotic organisms and eukaryotic organisms. See the first point here, the organisms in which the cells lack the nuclear membrane are called as prokaryotes or prokaryotic organisms. Okay, this is the definition of prokaryotes or prokaryotic organism, in which the organisms in which cells lacks the nuclear membrane are called as prokaryotes. Pro means primitive or primary and karyote means nucleus. Okay, see the second point, The organisms with cells having nuclear membrane are called as eukaryotes. Those organisms have a nuclear membrane around the nucleus called as eukaryotes. So U means developed. Okay. So the third point is prokaryotic cell lack the membrane bound cell organelles present in the eukaryotic cell. Okay. Actually, prokaryotic cells generally lack the all this membrane bound cell organelles which are present inside the eukaryotic cell. Okay, so here we can see the diagram of the nucleus. In the diagram of nucleus we can see the chromatin fibers, nuclear membrane, nucleoplasm, nucleolus, and nuclear pores. Okay, so they are the various labelings of the nucleus given here or shown here. And we can see the second diagram of the E. coli. Okay, this is the diagram of E. coli, which is a bacteria, and this bacteria gives an example of the prokaryotes. Okay, in the prokaryotes we can see the nucleoid. Nucleoid is present, which is the only nucleic acid, that is DNA or chromatin fiber, present in the this no, actually within the cell. There is no nuclear membrane present around the this nucleic acid. That's what is called as nucleoid. Okay, so this E. coli is an bacteria which is an example of the prokaryotes. The next slide, our next cell organelle is after nucleus. Our next cell organelle is endoplasmic reticulum. In the endoplasmic reticulum, the first point is endoplasmic reticulum is the large network of membrane-bound tubes and sheets. Okay, it is a large network of membrane-bound tubes and sheets. So the second point here is it looks like long tubules or round or oblong bags. Okay, the endoplasmic reticulum looks like long tubules or round or oblong bags. Okay. The third point here is there are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. The first one is the rough endoplasmic reticulum and second one is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. In that, the first the point is the rough endoplasmic reticulum looks rough under microscope because of ribosomes are attached to its surface. The rough endoplasmic reticulum looks rough because of presence of ribosomes on its surface. So ribosomes are particles, okay, which help in the protein synthesis process. So because of deposition of ribosomes on the surface of endoplasmic reticulum, the rough endoplasmic reticulum looks rough. The second point here is the ribosomes are site of protein synthesis. Okay, so ribosomes are the site of photosynthesis, actually protein synthesis. Okay, in case of ribosomes, the protein synthesis occurs. The third point here is the synthesized proteins are then sent to the various places in the cell by using endoplasmic reticulum. So ribosome synthesizes the proteins and the synthesized proteins carry to various part of the cells with the help of endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, after that, the fourth point is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum help in synthesis of fat molecules or lipids. Okay, so smooth endoplasmic reticulum appears smooth because the ribosomes are absent on the surface of smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and smooth endoplasmic reticulum help in the synthesis of lipids or fat molecules. Okay, so the fifth point here is the process in which some proteins and lipids used for building the cell membrane is called as membrane biogenesis. Okay, so this is the definition of membrane biogenesis, in which the process in which some of the proteins and lipids are used for the construction of the cell membrane called as membrane biogenesis. Okay, so our next point is functions of endoplasmic reticulum. In case of functions of endoplasmic reticulum, the first function is it acts as channel for transport of material like proteins between the various regions of cytoplasm or between the cytoplasm and nucleus. So endoplasmic reticulum acts as channel for the transportation of various materials like proteins between the various regions of cytoplasm and between the cytoplasm and nucleus. So this is the first function. The second function of the endoplasmic reticulum is it acts as cytoplasmic framework that provide the surface for the biochemical activities of the cell. Okay, so this endoplasmic reticulum acts as cytoplasmic framework. Okay, where the various biochemical activities can be performed. Okay, the third function of the endoplasmic reticulum is in liver cell. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum helps in detoxifying many poisons and drugs. ठीक है, Actually, liver is the site where metabolism occurs. So, if the certain poisons or drugs are present in our body, then they get detoxified with the help of smooth endoplasmic reticulum in the liver cells. Okay. So, our next cell organelle after endoplasmic reticulum is Golgi bodies or Golgi apparatus. In that, first point is Golgi apparatus was first discovered by Camillo Golgi. Okay, so the first means Golgi bodies or Golgi complex was first discovered by Camillo Golgi. Okay, the second point here is it consists of a system of membrane-bound vesicles arranged parallel to each other in stacks called as cisternae. Okay, the Golgi complex consists of a system of membrane-bound vesicles arranged parallel to each other in stacks called as cisternae. Actually, that membrane bound vesicles are called as cisternae, which are arranged parallel to each other. Okay, the third point is these membrane bound vesicles are connected to the membranes of endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so whatever the membrane bound vesicles present in the Golgi apparatus are also linked to the or also attached to the endoplasmic reticulums, that is membranes of the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so the fourth point here is the material synthesized in endoplasmic reticulum is packed and dispatched to various target inside and outside the cell through the Golgi apparatus. Okay, so whatever the material synthesized in the endoplasmic reticulum is packed and dispatched to various target inside and outside the cell through the Golgi apparatus. Okay, so the main function of Golgi apparatus is packaging and dispatching of the various materials or proteins. Okay, the functions of Golgi apparatus are, this is the next point, in that the first function is its function includes the storage, modification and packaging of the products in the vesicles. Okay, so the function of the Golgi apparatus includes storage, modification and packaging of the product in the vesicle. The second function of Golgi apparatus is in some cases complex sugars may be made from the simple sugars in the Golgi apparatus. Okay, so in some of the cases complex sugars are formed from the simple sugar. So this is the second function of the Golgi apparatus. And third one is that it help in the formation of lysosomes. Okay, so Golgi bodies help in the formation of lysosomes. This is the third function of the Golgi bodies. So this is the diagram of the endoplasmic reticulum. Here the first diagram gives an idea about the endoplasmic reticulum. At the center nucleus is present. Okay, within the nucleus the genetic material is seen. The genetic material is present in the form of chromatin fibers. Around the nucleus the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and rough endoplasmic reticulum are seen. Okay, so rough endoplasmic reticulum are rough in nature because of presence of ribosomes. We can see the dots. Okay, we can see the dots or point many points present. Okay, point shaped structures are present around the rough endoplasmic reticulum. That point shaped structures are called as ribosomes, and in case of smooth endoplasmic reticulum there is no ribosome, that's why its nature is smooth. Okay, so along with this the Golgi apparatus also seen. Okay, Golgi apparatus are nothing but the membrane bound vesicles called as cisternae. Okay, which are arranged parallel to each other, and we can see the lysosomes here also. Okay, so after for the first diagram, the second diagram is mitochondria. Okay, so in case of mitochondria, our next cell organ is mitochondria. So we have to discuss about the mitochondria later. So see the diagram here first. This mitochondria is double layered structure. The outer layer is continuous and inner layer is folded. Okay, inner membrane of the mitochondria is folded inside. So we can see the cristae means the folds present inside the this mitochondrial region called as cristae. We can see the DNA, we can see the ribosomes present inside the mitochondria, we can see the intermembrane space. Okay, matrix, outer membrane and inner membrane. Okay, so these are the various labeling of the mitochondria. So after that our next cell organelle is lysosomes. Okay, in case of lysosomes, the first point is lysosomes are the waste disposal system of the cell. Okay, lysosomes are waste disposal system of the cell. Actually, in case of lysosomes, the particular means whatever the waste material inside the cells, it can be decomposed properly. The second point is lysosomes clean the cell by digesting any foreign material as well as worn out cell organelles. Okay, suppose foreign particles are present inside the cell as well as any worn out cell organelles is there or are there, then that can be digested with the help of many enzymes present inside the lysosomes. Okay, see the third point. Foreign material like bacteria, food, old organelles, etc. in the cell are digested with the help of lysosomes. Okay, so the foreign materials like bacteria, food molecules, and old organelles are digested with the help of lysosomes. The fourth point here is lysosomes contain powerful digestive enzymes which help in breakdown of all organic materials. ठीक है, so lysosomes consist of many digestive enzymes, and these enzymes are very strong in nature. That's why that help in the digestion or breakdown of the cell all organic materials. ठीक है. The fifth point here is when the cell get damaged, then lysosomes may burst and enzymes digest their own cell. ठीक है. If in case of damaged cell, the lysosomes get burst, and that's why the inner cell organelles get consumed or digested by the enzymes found in the lysosome. So uh, these enzymes digest the own cell. Okay, whatever the enzymes released by the lysosomes, okay, digest their own cell. So sixth point is therefore lysosomes are also called as suicidal bags of the cells. Okay, why the lysosomes are called as suicidal bags? Because in case of damaged cells, the lysosomes burst, and that's why the enzymes, digestive enzymes, are released into the this cell area, and due to the digestive enzymes, the cells start to actually the different cell organelles are get digested with the help of enzymes. That's why it is called a suicidal bags of the cell. The functions of lysosomes. Next point is functions of lysosomes. In that, first function is demolition squad. Demolition squad means it destroys worn out cell organelles and organic debris. Whatever the destroyed uh, cell organelles as well as worn out debris present in the cell, it can be digested with the help of lysosome. That's why it is called as demolition squad. Demolition means it helps in the destruction, or for the destroying purpose the lysosomes are used. Okay. Second function is suicidal bags. ठीक है. When a cell becomes old or is damaged, then lysosomes burst and enzymes digest their own cell. So second function of the lysosome is it acts as suicide bag. When the cells get damaged, or in case of old aged cells, the lysosomes get burst, and that's why the enzymes released digest that own cell, and that's why it is called as suicidal bag. Our next cell organelle is mitochondria. In case of mitochondria, the first point is mitochondria are also called as powerhouse of cells. Okay, mitochondria also called as powerhouse of cell because the energy production process occur inside the mitochondria only. That's why this mitochondria is called as powerhouse of cell. The second point here is ATP is known as energy currency of cell. Actually, in case of a cell, the ATP is called as energy currency of cell because from the ATP only the energy is obtained to the cell. So, what is the long form of ATP? ATP means adenosine triphosphate. Okay. So, the third point here is the body uses ATP. The body uses energy stored in ATP for making new chemical compounds and for mechanical work. Okay. Our body uses energy from the ATP for new chemical compounds and for or to do mechanical work. Okay. So, fourth point here is mitochondria have two membrane coverings. Okay, already we seen that diagram. In the diagram, actually mitochondria has two coverings or two membranes. Okay. The fifth point here is the outer membrane is very porous while inner membrane is deeply folded. Okay, in case of mitochondria, the outer membrane is continuously present and it is porous, and the inner membrane is deeply folded. Okay, deeply folded from inside. So the sixth point here is these folds create a large surface area for ATP generating chemical reactions. So in case of mitochondria, inside the mitochondria there are different ATP generating chemical reactions occurs, and because of these chemical reactions, okay, it requires much larger surface area, and this larger surface area can be provided by the folds of the inner membrane. Okay. The seventh point here is mitochondria have their own DNA and ribosomes. Okay, mitochondria has its own DNA as well as ribosomes. That's why the eighth point here is mitochondria are able to make their own proteins. Therefore, mitochondria help in the production of or synthesis of own proteins. Okay. So the next point is functions of mitochondria. In that, the first function of mitochondria is to produce energy rich compounds, that is ATP. ठीक है, the first function of mitochondria is production of ATP, and second function is synthesis of proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, etc. by using energy in ATP. ठीक है, so synthesis of carbohydrates, proteins and lipids with the help of ATP is the second function of the mitochondria. ठीक है, our next cell organelle is plastids. ठीक है, so in case of plastids, the first point is plastids are present only in plant cell. ठीक है, plastids are present only in plant cell because green plants requires chlorophyll, and the chlorophyll is the main pigment found in the plastids. Okay, so the green color to the plants is because of chlorophyll, and that chlorophyll found in plastid. Okay, second point is the organelles which gives different color to different plant of different part of plants. Okay, it's called as plastid. ठीक है, the organelle which gives different color to different part of plants is called as plastid. ठीक है, the third point is plastids have double membrane, that is outer and inner. Okay, so plastids also have two membranes, outer and inner membrane. The fourth point here is there are three types of plastids. Okay, actually see there are three different types of plastids. The first one leucoplast, second chromoplast, and third one is the chloroplast. Okay, so there are three different types of plastids: leucoplast, chromoplast, and chloroplast. So see, in case of leucoplast, white or colorless plastid. Okay, leucoplast are white or colorless plastids. In that, synthesis and storage of food like starch, oil, and protein occurs in the leucoplast. Okay, in case of leucoplast, synthesis and storage of food like starch, oil, and protein occur. Okay, so in case of chromoplast, they are called as colored plastids. Chromoplast are also called as colored plastids. The third next one is the chloroplast. In case of chloroplast, they are called as green plastids. Okay, because green colored pigment, that is chlorophyll, is present in the chloroplast. That's why they are called as green plastids. Okay, so in that, see the first point, chlorophyll converts solar energy to chemical energy during photosynthesis process. So chlorophyll present in the chloroplast help in the conversion of solar energy into chemical energy during photosynthesis process. The second point here is it can be converted into other types of chromoplast. Okay, so this chloroplast can be converted into other type of chromoplast. Okay, so the third point here is example: raw green tomatoes turn red due to the breakdown of chlorophyll and synthesis of lycopene. Okay, so this is the example in which chloroplast can be converted into different types of chromoplast. In which the example, okay, given in that raw green tomatoes or turn red. Okay, raw green tomatoes are green in color, which turns into red color due to the breakdown of chlorophyll and synthesis of lycopene. ठीक है, so the fourth point here is stroma in chloroplast contains enzymes, DNA, and carbohydrates necessary for photosynthesis. Actually, the liquid or fluid like substance present inside the chloroplast or plastids called as stroma. So stroma contains enzymes, proteins, and DNA molecule. Okay, as well as carbohydrates necessary for photosynthesis. Okay, so the functions of plastids are: the first function of plastid is chromoplast gives different color to flowers and fruits. ठीक है, because of presence of chromoplast, the different color to the flowers as well as fruits given. ठीक है, the second function of plastid is leucoplasts are involved in the synthesis and storage of food like starch, oil, and proteins. So leucoplast help in the synthesis and storage of the food like starch, oil, and protein. ठीक है, so here is a table. The table indicates the color of plant and pigment. Okay, so there are different colors of plant part, and these plant part are given here, and which is the pigment present in that part. Okay, also given here. Okay, so see the first part is green leaves. Green leaves contain pigment, chlorophyll. Okay, the second one is the orange. Okay, orange color is present in carrot. So within the orange color carrot, the pigment is carotene. Okay, so third one is the yellow. So whatever the different part of the plants which are yellow in color, okay, contains xanthophyll is an pigment. Okay, the third one is the purple or blue. Okay, those part of plants which are purple or blue in color, which that contains anthocyanin as a pigment, and dark pink, okay, those part of the plants which show dark pink color, okay, here example is given beet, okay, so in case of beet the pigment present is betaline, okay, so there are the various pigments and various part of the plants in which the different pigments are present according to their color. Okay, so we can see the diagram of chloroplast or plastid here. In this we can see the outer membrane, inner membrane, lamella, granum, thylakoid, and stroma. Stroma is the fluid present inside the this plastid. Okay, thylakoid is the stack of the grana. Okay, means actually thylakoid is the singular word. Okay, the stack of thylakoid is called as gram or grana. Hmm? So the next point, our next cell organelle is vacuole. Okay, so see the vacuole. First point in case of vacuole is vacuole are storage sac for solid or liquid content. Okay, so vacuoles are storage sac for the solid or liquid content. The second point here is vacuoles are small size in animal cell, and while plant cells have very large vacuole. Okay, so we already covered this point in the previous slides that animal cell has small size vacuole and plant cell has large size vacuole. Okay. The third point here is the central vacuole of some plant cells may occupy 50 to 90% of the cell volume. Okay. In case of some plant cells, the central vacuole covers 50% to 90% of the total area. Okay. The fourth point here is in plant cells, vacuoles are full of cell sap and provide turgidity and rigidity to the cell. Actually, see, in case of plant cell, the vacuoles are full of cell sap. Okay, cell sap means it is a fluid-like substance present inside the vacuole, and that's why the rigidity and turgidity to the plant cell given. Okay. The fifth point here is many important substances are stored in vacuole. Okay, so within the vacuole, many important substances are stored. The sixth point here is these includes amino acids, sugars, various organic acids, and some proteins. Okay, so various organic substances like amino acids, sugars, various organic acids, and some proteins are stored in the vacuole. The seventh point here is in single cell organisms like amoeba, the food vacuole contains food atoms. Okay, actually here is an example about the vacuole. In case of amoeba, the food vacuole is there, and within the food vacuole food atoms or food particles are present. Okay, for the digestion purpose. The eighth point here is in some unicellular organisms specialized vacuoles help in expelling the excess water and some waste from the cell. Okay, in some of the unicellular organisms the specialized vacuole help in expelling the excess amount of water as well as some waste from the cell. Okay, so our next point is functions of vacuole. So inside the function, the first function is it maintains the osmotic pressure of the cell. Osmotic pressure means it maintains the osmosis of the cell. The second point is it stores the metabolic byproducts and end products like glycogen, proteins, water, etc. Okay, so that vacuole help in the metabolic, okay, help in the storage of metabolic byproducts like glycogen, proteins, and water, etc. Okay, so the third function of the vacuole is in amoeba, vacuole stores the food before digestion. Okay, in case of amoeba, the vacuole is food vacuole. Okay, that's why that food vacuole help in the digestion process as well as it help in the storage of food before digestion. Okay, the fourth function of the vacuole is in plant cell, vacuoles are full of cell sap and provide turgidity and rigidity to the this cell. Okay, so in case of plant cell, the vacuole is full of cell sap and which provides the turgidity and rigidity to the plant cell. So this is the last point of our chapter, that is difference between the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell. See, the first difference between eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell is the cell size is 5 to 100 micrometer. Okay, in case of eukaryotic cell, the cell size is 5 to 100 micrometer. In case of prokaryotic cell, the cell size is 1 to 10 micrometer. Okay, the second difference in case of eukaryotic cell is it contains more than one chromosomes. Okay, in case of eukaryotic cell, it contains more than one chromosome. In case of prokaryotic cell, it contains only one chromosome. Okay, in case of prokaryotic cell, it contains only one chromosome. Okay, the third difference in case of eukaryotic cell is cell nucleus contains nuclear membrane, nucleolus and nucleoplasm. Okay, in case of eukaryotic cell, the cell nucleus contains nuclear membrane, nucleolus and nucleoplasm. The third difference for the prokaryotic cell is nucleoid looks like nucleus. Okay, in case of prokaryotic cell, nucleoid, which means genetic material which looks like nucleoid. Actually this which looks like nucleus. Okay. The fourth difference in case of eukaryotic cell is mitochondria and plastids are present. Okay, so mitochondria, plastids and other cell organelles are present in the eukaryotic cell, and in case of prokaryotic cell they don't have membrane bound cell organelles. Okay, so membrane bound cell organelles are absent in case of prokaryotic cell. Okay, so the fifth difference in case of eukaryotic cell is example. So examples of eukaryotic cells are multicellular plants and animals. The examples of prokaryotic cells are bacteria. Okay, so this is the last point of our chapter, and here the chapter is completed. Okay, so subscribe this video for the next update and to be continued. Thank you.